We've been lied to, or at least we have been misled, probably not on purpose either. Somehow, suddenly in the last century, sunlight became the enemy. Red and infrared light therapy is utilized in the treatment of various painful conditions. Red light therapy can help to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, age spots, and even scars. Essentially, anyone can use these daily to accelerate wound healing, reduce joint pain, and even support hair growth. Yeah, they do that too.
Welcome to the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast. I am your host, Drew Griesel of Primal Wellness Coaching, and today we are diving deep into the world of light and its incredible impact on both our physical and mental health and wellness. We'll explore the benefits of natural sunlight as well as the incredible potential of these newfangled modern light devices using photobiomodulation therapy, which is just a fancy way of saying controlled light therapy. Before we dig in, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you find any of the content of our podcast valuable, help us to spread the word and let's get everyone on the path to health and wellness. Your support means the world to us. Also, show notes for today's podcast can be found at thesuperhumanblueprintpodcast.com. To get things started, let's talk about the most abundant source of light that we have, the sun. Natural sunlight isn't just there to brighten our day, it is a powerful force, if not the most powerful force when it comes to our health. Throughout the history of mankind, we have lived under the sun, and yet somehow, suddenly in the last century, sunlight became the enemy, and most of us spend nearly all of our time indoors. And when we do venture outside, we do our very best to cover up, wear a big hat, wear sunglasses, use sunblock, etc. Coincidentally, or not, the modern world is sicker than ever. Folks, I am not a doctor by any measure, and I am by no means giving anyone medical advice. However, I have done a lot of research and have listened to both sides of the argument against and for sunlight. We've all heard that narrative that sunlight is bad for you. So let's approach this with an open mind, as in fact there are plenty of scientists, doctors, and people a hell of a lot smarter than me preaching the benefits of sunlight. These are the people that, to all appearances, tend to be working outside the confines of what the medical field wants them to say, reporting on what they see and believe based on their own observations and research rather than what they've been taught in school. So, the sun. Sunlight contains a wide spectrum of wavelengths across the electromagnetic spectrum. The different wavelengths of sunlight can be categorized into various regions. First, we have ultraviolet or UV light, specifically UVA, B, and C wavelengths. Next is the visible light spectrum, which is the only part of the spectrum we can actually see with our human eyes. Y'all remember the rainbow? Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Yes, the visible light spectrum goes in that order, although backwards, I suppose, if we're looking at the direction from which we're listing these off. And by the way, who the hell changed the rainbow? Whenever I listen to kids' songs nowadays that my boys are listening to, they've ditched indigo and violet and just called them purple. Had they decided modern kids are too dumb to figure out what indigo and violet are? You can't change the rainbow, fools. I digress. I apologize. So anyway, after the visible light spectrum is infrared light, and then X-ray and gamma rays, and finally radio waves and microwaves. This episode is brought to you by the Hack Your Sleep program. Are you tired of feeling drained, struggling to stay focused throughout the day? Is low energy impacting your work and your relationships? So many of our clients at Primal Wellness Coaching used to be there too, until we introduced them to the simple steps in the Hack Your Sleep program. And guess what? As a Superhuman Blueprint podcast listener, we are going to give you access to this program absolutely free. This program isn't just about getting more sleep, it's about getting better sleep. Imagine falling asleep quickly and having nights filled with deep, restorative sleep. Say goodbye to those restless nights and wake up refreshed every day. These proven techniques will help you relax, clear your mind, and drift off into that peaceful embrace of sleep faster and keep you there longer. Even if you don't have time to add hours to your sleep schedule, you don't have to sleep more just to sleep better. But don't take my word for it. Join the Hack Your Sleep program and become part of the community of well-rested, energized individuals. Go to hackyoursleep.net and use code SUPERHUMAN to get this sleep improvement program completely free. That's hackyoursleep.net, code SUPERHUMAN to start sleeping better tonight. What's cool is each of these regions of the electromagnetic spectrum serves specific purposes and has unique interactions with matter. While sunlight primarily consists of visible and infrared light, it also contains a small fraction of UV light, which plays important roles in various natural processes and has both beneficial and harmful effects on human health, which, as we know, is where the hang-up on sunlight lies, in the harmful effects of ultraviolet light, which are very real, but also, again, only a small fraction of what sunlight is made of. So we've all heard of the harmful effects of UV light, probably your whole life. Don't go in the sun. Wear sunblock if you do. Well, we've been lied to, or at least we have been misled. Probably not on purpose either, but at some point it was decided it's easier to simply avoid the sun than to be intelligent about harnessing it effectively. Sunlight is mostly the visible spectrum and infrared, both of which are good for you, and of the portion that is ultraviolet, even quite a bit of that is actually good for you. Tell you more, you say? Well, certainly. So here are a few benefits specifically from ultraviolet light. First of all, you all know one, vitamin D production. UVB rays from the sun stimulate the skin to produce vitamin D, which is essential for maintaining healthy bones and supporting the immune system. Take vitamin D supplement when you're sick, right? Or hey, go outside. Vitamin D also plays a role in reducing the risk of certain diseases, including multiple sclerosis and many types of cancer. Ultraviolet A, UVA, is actually also good for mood enhancement. It can improve mood and help to control conditions like seasonal affective disorder. We've all heard of people in the Pacific Northwest here in the U.S. getting depressed in the autumn and winter because there's no sunlight. Sunlight triggers the release of serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter which contributes to feelings of well-being and happiness. And here's one that may actually surprise you. UV can actually help with some skin conditions. Yes, it doesn't just wreck your skin. Both UVA and UVB light therapy are used to treat certain skin conditions such as psoriasis and eczema. Controlled exposure can help to reduce inflammation and promote skin healing. Also, UV light can stimulate wound healing via the production of collagen, which is a protein important for wound healing. Controlled UV exposure can be used to accelerate the healing of certain types of wounds. Turns out UV is also good for blood pressure regulation. Some studies have said that controlled UV exposure may help lower blood pressure by promoting the release of nitric oxide, which is a compound that relaxes the blood vessels. Also, no surprise here, and I talk about this a lot, exposure to natural sunlight during the day helps to regulate the circadian rhythm, which can improve the quality of your sleep and help with sleep disorders like insomnia. And hey, let's talk about UVC, or far ultraviolet. So this spectrum has different type of effect. It has antibacterial effects and has been used for its germicidal properties to disinfect water, air, and surfaces. UVC light is particularly good at killing bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens. And think about when you put things outside to air them out. The air passing through or around the thing doesn't do a whole lot, but the sunlight is actually doing wonders. Some types of facilities actually use UVC devices for sterilization purposes. It is true, though, that when your skin hasn't been conditioned for it, excessive UV exposure, especially from sunlight or tanning beds, can lead to sunburn, premature aging of the skin, and an increased risk of skin cancer. So I know after all that I've just said, you're ready to get naked and go run around in the sun for hours, but hang back for a moment. If you never go in the sun, you have to start slow, like anything. Get your reps in. Just like working out, if you try to go beast mode on day one, you're just going to wreck your body. Building up your so-called solar callus works the same. You build a tolerance, and folks, it actually works. I was always the kid that burned every time I went in the sun. I am so damn white. But over the last few years, with considerable intention, I've spent hours in the sun without getting burned, but it was a process to get myself there. And guess what? Spending that time in the sun makes me feel amazing. I actually get sad when I don't get to go in the sun. Imagine that. Ties back to what I just said. So if you want to acclimate your skin to sunlight, do it gradually, potentially reducing the risk of sunburn. Start with short periods of sun exposure and gradually increase the time spent outdoors. This allows your skin to adapt to sunlight without experiencing excessive damage. And folks, it's okay to use sunscreen, particularly if you know you're going to be in the sun for hours and you're not adapted. Just be careful when you do. You should be just as thoughtful about what you put on your body as you hopefully are about what you put in your body. Choose an organic or mineral-based sunscreen. Also, sun exposure is generally safer in the early mornings or late afternoon when the sun's rays are less intense. And along with helping you in so many other ways, proper hydration can also help your skin to stay healthy and may provide some protection against the dehydrating effects of sun exposure. Everyone says drink your water when you go out in the sun. It actually helps. It is important to be mindful of your skin type and individual sensitivity to sunlight. People with fair skin, light hair, and light eyes are generally more prone to sunburn and may need to take extra care when building up that tolerance. If that's you, you probably already know that. Individuals with a history of skin cancer or those taking photosensitizing medications should also exercise caution in the sun. If that's you, talk to your doctor. They'll probably tell you to just stay out of the sun, but try to have a dialogue about it and to really dig in on your options. They may be right though, and it's really going to be up to you to make that decision. And while the human body can adapt to sun exposure to an extent, it is important to note that building a tolerance to sunlight doesn't mean complete immunity to the harmful effects of UV radiation. A bit ago, I mentioned the beneficial effects of UVB. Well, this is also the spectrum that can cause damage if not approached with intention. Sunburn is primarily caused by overexposure to UVB rays, and excessive exposure can still lead to skin damage, premature aging, and an increased risk of skin cancer. Ultimately, the goal is to boost your health and longevity and happiness, and while natural sunlight is the superstar of the show, let's shift our focus to the lesser known option, light therapy devices, or more specifically, red and infrared light therapy devices. These devices, many of which are FDA certified medical devices, are making waves in the health and wellness industry. There are specific wavelengths of red and infrared light that have unique benefits that can supercharge your health in some pretty surprising ways. And I really mean supercharge. Red and infrared light therapy, also known as photobiomodulation, is particularly helpful in promoting wound healing by stimulating the production of collagen, which is a critical protein that provides structure and support to our skin and tissues. This effect is especially valuable with people with slow healing wounds, such as a diabetic ulcer or a surgical incision. By accelerating the wound healing process, it reduces the risk of complications and infection associated with slow wound healing. Again, I mentioned this with sunlight, even more so with an actual light device. Red and infrared light therapy has also proven to be an effective, non-invasive, and drug-free approach for pain relief. When applied to affected areas, these wavelengths actually penetrate deep into the tissue and reduce inflammation, and this is achieved by suppressing the release of something called pro-inflammatory cytokines and enhancing the production of anti-inflammatory mediators. This basically means it reduces inflammation and promotes anti-inflammatory mechanisms within your body. As a result, red and infrared light therapy is utilized in the treatment of various painful conditions, including osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and musculoskeletal injuries. And less impactful to health and longevity, but definitely growing in popularity in the beauty and cosmetic industry, is red light's ability to rejuvenate the skin. We already mentioned this as a benefit of wound healing. The same ability to stimulate collagen production and increased blood flow can lead to smoother, firmer skin. Red light therapy can help to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, age spots, and even scars. It can also improve skin texture, making it look more youthful and radiant. That's why they have these things, red light masks. I actually got my wife one for Christmas. And there are actually quite a few athletes and fitness enthusiasts out there that use red and infrared light therapy to accelerate muscle recovery and enhance performance, which are other benefits of these therapies. Red light, infrared light can reduce muscle soreness and inflammation after an intense workout or after being injured. It does this by increasing blood flow, circulation, promoting cellular repair, and it helps muscles to recover more quickly, which allows individuals to return to training or competing sooner. So a lot of high-performing athletes use this. The ability to reduce muscle fatigue and soreness also means that athletes can push their limits during workouts, potentially improving their performance over time or their performance in a specific time, say if they're in a competition. But beyond physical benefits, red and infrared light therapy may actually have some positive impacts on mental health. So exposure to these wavelengths can promote relaxation and reduce stress. The therapy has been used to combat symptoms of depression and anxiety, helping individuals to manage mood disorders, and it also can support general well-being by improving sleep quality and regulating circadian rhythms. By creating a sense of calm and balance, red and infrared light therapy can contribute to overall mental and emotional health. And the hardcore biohackers out there even swap out many of the light bulbs in their houses for red light, opting to use a red light instead of white light in the evenings, as this has been shown to help with the gradual onset of the brain's readiness to relax and eventually fall asleep. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't mention mitochondria on this show. You know I love mitochondria. So the primary mechanism for how red and infrared light work ties directly to their interaction with your mitochondria. The photons from the red or near infrared light are absorbed by your mitochondria and enhance the activity of something called the electron transport chain, which is a process that moves the electrons throughout the membrane of your mitochondria, leading to increased ATP production. And if you forget what ATP is, just think of it as your energy. You need ATP to think, to breathe, to move, etc. Although they're generally classified as medical devices, light therapy devices such as red and infrared light panels are becoming more accessible and are proving to be powerful tools in health and wellness. They can be used at home. Heck, there are even portable devices the hardcore believers bring along when they travel. Essentially, anyone can use these daily to accelerate wound healing, reduce joint pain, and even support hair growth. Yeah, they do that too. In fact, long before I was into any of this stuff or had ever heard of light therapy, my father was working for a nutrition company selling what I thought was a bunch of fringe products, but years later I've learned were actually cutting edge. One of those devices was actually a hairbrush that was supposed to help prevent balding. Turns out it was a brush that had red light LEDs at the end of each bristle. Literally, it was just a red light brush where you can stimulate both blood flow to the scalp with the abrasion of the bristles, which is good for the hair and the skin, while at the same time boosting the health of the skin and the follicles with the red light. It's amazing when I think back on it. This was like 10 years ago. Dad passed away about a year and a half ago, and I'm learning things all the time that he was talking about back in the day that I wasn't really listening to or just didn't care about at the time. Honestly, I miss him like hell, and I really wish that I could call him up and tell him he was right. But instead, I'm doing this. I get to tell you about it. Pass it on, right? Pass it forward. Anyhow, if you're in the market for a red light device, you want to look for a couple of things. First of all, wavelengths matter. Light is a broad spectrum, right? And within each light category is a whole range of wavelengths. The current science says the most beneficial wavelengths of red and near infrared light are between 480 and 660 nanometers and between 810 and 1060 nanometers. These are what's called the therapeutic action zones. A good device has output within both ranges. Power output is also a consideration. Some light panels aren't as strong, and you have to either stand extremely close or stay in front of them for longer periods. More powerful devices allow you to stand a little further away, say a couple of feet instead of 6 inches, and for shorter amounts of time with comparable benefits. Many of the devices out there are FDA approved, as I said. These are Class 2 medical devices, but they aren't all FDA approved. That doesn't mean the ones that aren't as good necessarily. It just means that the ones that are have gone through the process of being reviewed and approved by the FDA. I personally have 4 devices. My first ever red light device, which also came from my dad before I knew anything about red light therapy, is a small red light pen. It's about the size of a cigar and has one red LED on the end. I knew nothing about this But years ago when I had some pretty horrid golfer's elbow, which is nonsense considering I don't golf. I know it's not related, but that's what they call it. Anyway, my dad gave it to me to try out. Massage, physical therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic, nothing had worked to help my elbow. Then this silly little red light pain cured it, absolutely cured it. I was blown away. I had no idea how it worked, but I just know that it worked. Apparently, I wasn't blown away enough to actually research how or why it worked. I was just happy that the pain was gone. And it was a few years before I understood any of it. My second device is a small panel about 6 by 18 inches from a company called Juve. My wife and I use this one for treatment of specific areas, head, hip, back, shoulders, etc. This one is easy to move around the house, so we can use it while doing other things. Today's episode is brought to you by PowerPlate. Vibration therapy, usually delivered through platforms like PowerPlate, offers a wide range of potential benefits for physical health and well-being. I'm talking enhanced muscle strength, improved circulation and blood flow, increased flexibility and range of motion, faster recovery from soreness and injury, and one of the coolest benefits, which is leveraged even by astronauts, is enhanced bone density. How cool is that? For me personally, any workout I do while standing stationary is done on my PowerPlate vibration platform. PowerPlate uses something called triplanar vibration, which is superior to other vibration platforms. It's really interesting. When I stand on it, it almost feels like gravity increased, like I'm being pulled towards the ground, which puts a unique spin on doing your traditional bodyweight workout movements like squats and push-ups and really anything you can do while standing still. So pick up your PowerPlate at powerplate.com/primal and use code PRIMAL for 20% off the PowerPlate vibration platform. Again, that's powerplate.com/primal. Use code PRIMAL for 20% off. My third device, which is the one I just mentioned a bit ago, is a red light face mask that I got my wife for Christmas from a company called Higher Dose. That one is pretty cool. It's totally portable. She wears it while she's doing dishes, while she's walking around the house, whatever. And finally, I have 4 larger panels, which connect to each other and essentially make 2 6-foot-tall panels that I stand in front of every morning, which you may sometimes see if you follow me on social media. And these are from a company called Platinum LED, which after trying several of these red light manufacturers, Platinum LED is my preferred vendor. Pricing is better and the power output is better. They also have some good options for the different types of stands that are available. I will put a link for Platinum LED in the show notes if you want to check them out. Anyway, I start every day in front of these lights. Literally, I roll out of bed, mix up my electrolyte water, then drink it while standing in front of these panels. I built a little table to go between the lights so that I can put my laptop on it, do a little bit of work, study, watch videos, whatever, while I'm standing in front of these red lights, supercharging my mitochondria and cellular health. It is a seriously killer way to start the day. If you try it, shoot me a DM and let me know what you think. I am always interested to hear about people's experiences. Also, if you decide to start incorporating natural sunlight into your life, I'd love to hear about that as well. Any benefits? Any problems? What did your doctor tell you? I want to hear it all because I learn from you as much as you may learn from me. And there you have it, folks, the incredible world of light, its superhuman benefits for health, wellness, and longevity, and happiness. Remember, nature has provided us with the sun, and science has given us amazing light devices. It is up to us to make the most of these gifts. Thank you for joining us today on the Superhuman Blueprint Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with your friends, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Again, show notes are at thesuperhumanblueprintpodcast.com. I will catch you in the next episode. Have a great one.